All right, let's get going. Hopefully it was good timing. The UPS guy was just here, so hopefully got all the dog barks out of the way. So I am trying to do more of these webinars as I'm hearing from different coaches I get to talk to in my work with Busy Coach and as Dan Tudor's vice president, dozens of coaches every single week, sometimes hundreds of coaches every single week as I'm out working conventions and doing workshops on campuses. And social media is something that coaches stress a lot about because they see the trends, right? This is where your recruits are. And this is something that, especially for those of you that are recruiting from a little bit further away, we need a way to consistently show them, right? Inside scoop as to what's going on in our programs. Before they even come to campus, we got to find a way to get them here, right? And so that you need to be doing it, but in the consistency thing, a lot of coaches I'm hearing suck at it, to use a lot of your words. And it's, we post 10 things in 1 week and then we skip it for a few weeks. And ultimately, I'm going to share with you a way to come up with a lot of content in a short amount of time, focusing on not just what are the topics, but what are the key things that we can be doing and showing to recruits that will benefit our recruiting. Keep your current team happy, but use your current team and the kids that are, close in age to the kids that you're recruiting, but do it in a sane way so it's easier to keep up with and maintain. But ultimately, over the course of, if you do some of the things that I suggest in this, like you'll have at the end of the year a social media system, right? Over the course of the year. I mean, consistent effort, as we know, right? We need this as coaches to stay, to be successful. And it's not just any effort, strategic effort, focused effort on essential things that are going to get us where we want to go. So that's why I want to talk about this with you guys. Because we know, right, is 80 people, recruits retain 80% of what they see, 20% of what they read, and 10% of what they hear. Your recruits, we cannot just rely on telling them things on the phone. And that's where a lot of coaches are dropping the ball with their recruiting, is because we're just telling them things. Think about with your current team. How many times do you got to tell them something before they remember? And they're there face to face with you, right? Recruits, if they've got a lot of coaches recruiting them, they got a lot of people in your ear yapping about why they should be going to their school, right? It needs to be a combination of, yes, telling them things, getting them to read things that you're sending them, but also we will really paint a more clear picture as to what you offer, because you will attract, right? You're not for everybody. You will attract those based on what you're posting. And you'll either attract them or repel them. But right, this is why visuals are so important. This is why social media is really something that you can't ignore anymore. This is something I am seeing a big reason why coaches are failing being consistent is we are walking around campus, holding on to our phones or, at practice, waiting for a social media worthy moment. And that is not a great way. That's not a great strategy, right? Because it takes you out of the moment. What I want to show you is how to get out of day by day thinking and start thinking big picture, right? Is I want you to control the story that recruits are getting about your program. I mean, when really was the last time you sat down and you planned out a week or a month? That might be scary for some of you, but I mean, these kids, again, have a lot of things coming at them. You have multiple responsibilities that you're in charge of throughout the course of the day, week, and month with your program. We can't be thinking day to day. And that's why I find a lot of coaches are falling short on their social media game, is because we're just day to day. So we're going to get you thinking big picture, even just 1 month at a time. I'm going to show you again how to break it down. So, right, I want you to leave this webinar knowing you've got a strategy in place. You are going to feel more in control because you know what's coming next, right? We're going to be intentional about what we're sending. And then even better, if we can, I know there's a bunch of assistant coaches on this webinar, but ideally we can find somebody else. And even if it's your team, I'm going to show you how to use your team to delegate it so you can take things off your plate and focus on bigger picture building, growing your program, right? So let's talk about this first, right? As we got to get this organized. Don't do all this planning and brainstorm all these ideas and then figure out your compliance or your administrators or your sports information people aren't going to allow you to do what you want to do, right? Get clear on that stuff first, because then we can organize everything accordingly, stay on track, but not get yourself in trouble. Okay. Second, pick your platforms. It's super simple. And as I say that, I mean, know where your recruits are. The last thing I want you to do is try to be all places, right? You don't have to be on all of those things. I don't even know what Zeme is, right? But you don't have to be in all of those places. Pick one. I'd rather have you be great and focus a lot of time and attention on one than try to do 10 of them and do everything half-assed. You know what I'm saying? One or two. Okay. And the thing I would say, Facebook, right? If you're going to do it, that is where parents hang out. That's where your alum hang out, especially alum that want to know what's going on in their program since they've left. That's huge. Parents want, I mean, and you can post the same kind of content, but just the captions can be a little bit different for the parents. But then, I mean, these are the two, Twitter and Instagram is where we see recruits are the most. But it does. I mean, I know there's football, there's basketball, there's volleyball, there's soccer, right? I mean, there's tons of different sports on this webinar here. And I want to say, I mean, there was about over 100 that registered for it. Lots of different sports. Each one is a little bit different, right? So figure out where are your kids, and I would absolutely focus on those. Snapchat, the TikTok stuff, that I would say, you know, especially when I bring that up to coaches, their anxiety bubble bursts. You don't have to do that stuff, especially if your team is really good and your team has those accounts. That is another thing that you can do as a great recruit using social media strategy, is don't think that I have to do all of it. A great thing to do is just figure out who already on your team does a really good job of showing day in the life stuff of a student athlete there. Direct your recruits to those kids, right? It will take some of the pressure off you, but then ultimately, if your recruits start maybe organically interacting with current athletes on your team and they find they have a really connection, right? That's going to benefit you a lot. So I want you to commit to what exactly are you using this for? Now, the thing I would say, most coaches with your team, right? Game day picks, birthday picks, awards, absolutely. If this, I don't know that anybody from the school registered for this webinar, and I'm not making fun of this program at all, but this is just typically what I see, right? It's pictures of your sport and what you're doing and competing and all that kind of stuff, right? That is perfect for your current team. Absolutely. Keep posting that stuff. And I mean, this is stuff like your sports info, if your sports information directors are the ones who are doing these things. It doesn't surprise me when I hear, yep, sports info is the one posting for us, because this is usually what I see. But the thing I find, right, for recruits, you know, in this game, this is totally sports info, right? But the thing I find, sports info is not there when the good stuff happens. They're not there to be able to capture, you know, things on the bus or things in hotels or things in the dorms, things that they're doing at lunch, right? That's when sports info isn't there, which, I mean, I get it. They're not there for those reasons, but that's where can we get from your current team some of that kind of stuff? Because if we want to use social media for recruiting, those pictures that I just showed you, the game day, the, you know, award picks and birthday picks, they do nothing for recruits. They really don't. The reality is your recruits are looking at your social media before they're even looking at your website. Agree? What I want you to do is be thinking about, for when we are posting, if we are going to use social media to influence our recruits, if you're looking on Instagram and they're looking at the first 9 pictures or 12 pictures or whatever, what do we want them to think about us, feel about us, and know about us? I say, you know, a lot of times it's like when you know, recruits come to visit you on campus. Campus visits are a big deal for a lot of coaches. because that's when they get to really meet and interact with the team and get the feel of the team and the dorms and the campus and the coaching staff, all that stuff. How can you will increase your chance of getting a kid to come to campus if we can put more thought into how are we making them think, feel, and what do we want them to know about us for social media if we want these kind of posts to impact our recruiting in the future. One key indicator, right? I mean, if you're not using this as a key stat to help you with your recruiting efforts, are they even following you on social media? If they're not, and this is their world, right? And you've been having back and forth conversations with them, that would be, to me, a red flag that you should be really figuring out how serious are they in us, because they're not even following us on, the major platforms where they're pretty big in, that could be something I want you to pay attention to. And then as we're committing to strategies for posting, I say this all the time to the coaches that I get to work with. I don't care how many likes. I really don't care how many followers you have. I mean, just to backtrack, yes, I just said we want to make sure they're following us, but still, the most important goal for me as I'm communicating this to you, as you're coming up with your social media strategy, you got to create conversations, because as you're posting these things, ultimately we got to figure out, does the recruit even want that, right? Because if they don't want that, nope, we got to cross them off their list. I use this example all the time when I'm talking to coaches. Is I was on a Division I women's basketball program, right? It was in their locker room in Texas, and I got to ask the team, did social media play any sort of part in helping you determine where you went to school? And this one girl goes to me, she goes, I eliminated other Power 5 schools from my choices because I saw them country line dancing in the locker room before practice. I hate country music, so I knew that wasn't the place for me, right? So these are things, as we post things, we got to use it, right? Is this something you're even interested in? This is who we are, right? You're not hiding it. We're getting it out there to the world. Let these recruits see it. And like I said earlier, you will attract those that want that. You will repel those that don't. I found this was a great strategy for us to eliminate campus visits, right? Before they even happened. Campus visits are a lot of work. And the last thing I wanted to do was, we're always trying to find, right, reasons to eliminate kids who we figure out aren't going to be a good fit for our program. I found by doing a good job of posting and giving kind of inside scoop as to everything going on in our program inside, right? Kids just kind of weeded themselves out, which was great because it helped our retention and it helped us find a better quality kid for the direction our culture was going. Got to post, but create a conversation about it. So one of the biggest things, right? This isn't anything you post on social media isn't necessarily going to sell them, right, on your program. This isn't getting they're not going to commit just off your social media posts. Nope. This is the handshake. This is the intro. This is starting the conversation, right? That's what I want you to be thinking about social media to be using. So this is a stat, right? Or this is a question, and all the research that we get to do through Tutor is what were the main factors that these kids are using today to choose their top college choices? How the team treated me, number one. Coach treated me, overall feel of campus. Those three things are when kids come to campus, they want to see. So I want you to be thinking about that as, again, we'll eventually start putting together some topic ideas. Those are three major factors that kids are using to eliminate choices. Are we posting those kinds of things, or are we posting just game day pics, right? Again, just game day pics is probably a reason why your social media recruiting efforts haven't really gotten you anywhere, but those are three big factors that I want you to be thinking about as we're posting these things. Okay, so what to post? So a big thing that I want you to do, right? So this is also getting it organized, because you could have the best plan on the planet, but if we can't execute on the plan, it's for nothing. And it's a big waste of time, all the stuff we're doing. Okay. So I want you to block out time in your schedule every single month in advance, but I want you to start with the end in mind. Just think for this so let's plan out February, right? How many days are we going to post? Start with that. This I found when you start with the deciding how many we're going to post, best times to post, and what day of the week are we going to commit to, or even beginning of the month. How much time do we need to kind of put all this stuff together? But if you decide in advance, even if it's just, I'm going to post 4 pictures once a week, right? Now it helps reduce our focus. It will reduce our overwhelm. And now we can really key in on, okay, you know what? I only need to create 4 posts this month. Not a problem. But sitting down and doing it all at the same time, I cannot recommend that to you enough. Remember, I said earlier, I don't want you thinking just day by day, because day by day things happen, right? And you always get pulled away. And I've never seen a coach who sits down at the computer, getting pulled in a million different directions, and all of a sudden come up with something, a brilliant picture and a brilliant caption, spur of the moment. Remember, we want to tell a story and be in control of the recruiting process, or the recruiting story that recruits are seeing from us on social media. Can't do it if you're just spur of the moment and very random. Right. And I say this all the time, I've really never seen a powerhouse program built on randomness. It doesn't happen. Schedule it. Right. So how many are you going to post? What time are you going to post? And this is, I would do research on it. But this too, just month by month, we'll keep making adjustments, but just get you thinking. Okay. Commit to even just be doing this right now, month February. How many times are you going to post? What type of posts? Are you going to post pictures? Are you going to post video? Right. You're going to do reels. What are you going to do? But decide, commit to that. Then, right. And this is, scheduling is maybe you put your calendar together, and what day, what time am I going to post? I'll come back to this here in a little bit, but I am a big fan of cycling through topics. So as people are looking at our Instagram account, they're getting, right, an overall general feel of all of the different things that are a part of our program versus just topic by topic. But you could do topic by topic. You got to decide how you're going to do that, but schedule it on the calendar. When is this happening? When you commit to the date and the time that things are going to get posted, and then schedule it out in advance, it's more likely to get done, which is going to increase your chance of getting into a routine, which is going to increase your chance of building momentum with it, which is going to have a positive effect on your recruiting. So these, as we're creating, the stuff that you're going to be putting out for your recruiting efforts, this is where we're going to focus on. And then I'm going to show you how to simplify it. Okay. So first, we have to get clear on our message. You are not for everybody, right? And this is where, don't try to be all things to everybody, because you're not. Who is the ideal student athlete at your school? What are their challenges and frustrations? And you'll get, I will send you all of these slides. Okay, so don't think you need to frantically be writing all these things out. But what clothes are they wearing, right? What phrases and language are they using? What does a typical day in the life look like, right? Preferred form of communication, right? All of these things, make sure as we're organizing our content and coming up with topics and what are the captions and the hashtags and calls to action that we're doing, I would always aim it towards, am I speaking to my ideal recruit? It's going to cut through a lot of the noise. It's going to be more laser focused on, the small niche of kids that do really, really well on your program. So the message is going to be way more effective. Thing I like saying too, is I want you to think about your social media, just like the Olympics posts their social media stuff. They're not just doing game day. They're not just doing time of the event, starting lineups, that kind of stuff, right? Or who won afterwards. What do you hear about with the Olympics? The feel-good stories, the injuries that they've had, they're working at Home Depot, right? The routines, how much time and effort, how many years they've been doing all these things, right? What were their objections? What, all that stuff. But just be thinking, okay, am I just doing news? This is what we do here. Or am I really giving them insight as to what the student athletes are like? All of my work, when I go to these campuses and I ask these athletes, what about social media? What were you binge watching? Usually the reels come up, and the reels are day in the life of a student athlete there. That's what athletes or recruits tell me that they're really following on social media. So I want you to think, one way to organize your content When I ask coaches, and some of you I know on this call, I've asked, tell me when I'm looking at your Instagram account, right? Or I come visit your campus, what are the 3, 4, 5 big selling points that you want a recruit to know about? Never fails. These coaches lean in, they start talking louder, they start talking faster about the leadership and the culture and the people and the academics and the resources and all these things. And very rarely do they ever actually bring up their sport, right? But what are the things for you? What are the big core topics? I have a list of different things, but you could just focus on that. And then you could cycle through, right? So maybe the first one is the quality of the coaching staff and what you bring to the table and how you're different and a better choice than maybe other coaches out there. Maybe the second one is the team, the personality of the team and how you guys are different and they're really close or they're not close, or whatever it is, right? Well, say 1 is coaching staff, 2 is team, 3 is the academics, the quality of the academics at your school. 4 is the culture of your team or the culture on campus. Maybe 5 is the location, right? So maybe first week you're talking about the coaching staff. Second week you're talking about the team. Third, it's an academic, especially for those of you that are Division III versus you're recruiting athletes who could maybe go Division I somewhere. There's a difference between, right? The coaching staffs, there's a difference between maybe the team and how they're interact, or there's a difference between the activities that they get to do as a Division III athlete versus Division I, right? What are, like, you could, highlight some of those things, but just start thinking about, does it make sense as you're thinking about how to organize this stuff to focus on core? And it doesn't have to be 5, it can be 2, it can be 7, right? But cycle through. That could be one way you organize it. You could organize it, this is a big Dan Tudor simplifying content idea, and the method to the madness is just every month pick a different topic. And then the thing I would say is, based on that topic, I sat at my son tried baseball 1 year and failed. I mean, he just did it 1 year. He didn't do it any other years. But it was my husband and I, who's also a longtime soccer coach, we sat and we just listed out all of the questions that recruits had about each of those topics. And I put them in a calendar form, right? Or, just put them like that, however you want to put it. But what are all of the questions that recruits have had? This is a list of questions that I sat at an ID camp, and parents and recruits were sitting at this ID camp. The staff was up front, the team was up front. These were just some of the questions that were asked in that ID camp. It was like a 45 minute question and answer session, right? Take the questions that recruits are asking you. I think the best thing you can do if you're on the phone with a recruit, have a notepad, right? And a pen, just write down what are the questions that recruits have of you, and then proactively answer it. What are the objections that recruits have had about coming to your program? Write those down. And then let's get, so again, we're just accumulating all of the things that we could talk about. Hopefully you guys see already, you should never run out of things to talk about. That's a big thing I hear from coaches too, is like, I don't even know what to say, or, I don't know what to post. Like, we have nothing to talk about. You do, right? We just use the questions that recruits have, or again, what are the key selling points you are using of your program that separate you from your competitors? Use that stuff. And there's ways to cycle through the content or focus month by month on a theme, whatever's easiest for you. But I found the theme based also is simpler, because you don't have to remember, did we already post about that, right? If you're cycling through, that's where some of that can come up. But if you do keep on one key topic a month, right, is now we can dig deep into that topic and really cover a lot of bases, and then not worry about posting similar things months after. You know what I'm saying? But just different ideas for how to organize the topics that you have. So let's talk about the captions you should use. A lot of coaches some coaches don't have issues finding the pictures, but then they don't know what to say, and so this is where you have a lot of story. I mean, if you're new to coaching, you might not have as many stories, but if your head coach has been, coaching for a long time, you have stories. And just to give you an idea again, how to organize it, some of you guys might have seen the slide if I've been to your campus doing a workshop, but there are kids that are currently on your team that had objections about coming to your school. What was it? Like this girl, real quick, Laura Bowman, had full ride offers to MIT and Harvard and some of those smarty pants schools. She came to the school that I was at, and the academic, like we had all sorts of things that we worked out to make it work for this girl. So any other players that were coming through different programs that I've coached at, anytime they might have an objection about the quality of academics at our school, that was a story that we pulled out. But those are also proactively thinking, okay, for those kids that might be thinking that is, our academics isn't as strong as some of these other schools they might be looking at, we would post a picture of her. And that was their caption. We just gave a quick little story, trying to get out ahead of some of the objections that they might have. Or this girl, Taylor Vestal, not great academically out of high school. Kids, so other kids who weren't great out of high school saw that, look, we had the resources, coaching staff, we did this to help her, team did this, our school had these resources. She graduated in 4 years with a GPA of whatever, right? But that was a story we used to share in person. But could you get out ahead of some of these stories by finding a picture of her, and just that can be your caption? Tell a little bit about that story to just gain interest and create conversations. You know what I'm saying? But you have stories for all of those things. So hopefully, right at this point, you've got good ideas for topics, right? You've got caption ideas. Just tell a story. Tell a story that you feel like a recruit will relate to. And I've got some prompts here in a few minutes that'll share with you. But then thinking about hashtags, and hopefully this isn't, I'm not kidding. I had about 160 slides as even of this morning, but I trimmed this down quite a bit. But right, hashtags are a big thing, and it's going to help cut through the noise, right? Hashtags help you categorize and label images so that they show up in searches, so that we can connect with other people who are looking for like content. So identifying the right hashtags help us align the brands we're trying to create and the content with the exact right audience that's looking for it, right? So that's our goal with hashtags. Do the research, right? If you're not sure what to do, just see what your competitors are doing. Look at your recruits. What are they hashtagging? What are they already engaging with, right? But look at your competitors, look at your recruits. Who are you recruiting? Like what clubs, what high schools are you recruiting at, right? What hashtags are they using that you could maybe start using that will help expand your reach? As we're talking about optimizing, right, is if you're just posting to post and not really adding any of these extra little things in there, people might not see it. You could also integrate, right? If you're sending recruiting letters, emails, texts, right, all that stuff, could you start like really nailing down some hashtags that people are resonating with, that are helping more, expand your reach, and people are finding you easier? How can you start making more people aware of some of these hashtags you're using? So again, you're easier to find, optimizing your message through some of the other social media, ways that you might be recruiting kids, right? So I know that's really quick on hashtags, but I'm trying to just give you overall general, how to organize, but then again, how to optimize, beat the algorithm, right? The whole name of the game with, especially Instagram, is engagement. And so, but, I think not a whole lot of coaches put a lot of thought into it. But I mean, captions, but then also calls to action. We got to get them interacting with us. So if you're going to post, what do you think recruits, or what do you want recruits to do after you read the post? So just some simple ideas, right? Simple, right? You could post one of those things at the end of your caption. Because the more people that like or put emojis or engage with your posts, it's going to expand your reach, right? Because Instagram is going to think, oh, a lot of people are liking this. I need to share it to more people, right? So just even a more thought into the calls of action you're putting out there is going to help optimize each post that you put out, but other things that you could do, right? Just real quick. And again, you'll get these slides, but now that you've got topics, right? We know we need to tell stories through our captions. We know we need to put hashtags so we're easy to find, right? Do it all at one time. Don't just sit, again, let's show up on the day and try to figure something out with all the other stuff going on. Really, like, do like tasks together. Find all of your images at the same time. Write all of your captions at the same time, all of your calls to action, your hashtags. If you do it all at the same time, you'll be able to build off of each other versus it just being random, which again, you want to build momentum and optimize each thing. Do it all together. Schedule it, right? Find 30 minutes or 1 hour, 30 minutes at the beginning of the week or 1 hour for the entire month. And you can create all the content. You'll create it faster all at one time than if you were to do it each day you show up, I promise, right? But batch work your content, you're going to get a higher quality of work done, and it's going to flow and build momentum better than if you were to do it all separate. Use your team. I am 47 years old, right? I know how to do some of this stuff. I do, but you're better off using your team because they are closest in age to the recruits that you're after. You could sit down with them at the beginning of every single month and give them topics. This is what we need. Those questions. Hey, so our theme this month is team. Team, what pictures do you have? Right? That's kind of batching, right? One meeting, team, give us all your stuff. Or team, what do you have that would, tell the story of this? What do you have in your phone? Especially the girls teams, they got their stuff in the phone, right? Or, hey, we want to shoot a bunch of videos of maybe objections that you had about coming to our school. Sit down 1 hour, right? And just pair off. Hey, you know what? You two, you have this one. You two, you want to do that one? Perfect. You two, which one, resonates with you? This one? Okay, perfect. Shoot them, right? And then get them to whoever's going to be posting. But batch it together, but use your team as a way to, again, optimize what you're doing, is because they will know how to say it and do it in a way that will resonate with the kids that are closest in age to them. So just some simple frameworks, and I'm not going to go through all these individually, but I've found it can be really, it can take a while if you're just, what do I do next? Right. But instead, okay, image, boom, got it. What's the hook? Okay, do this, got it. Okay, what's the story? It's just follow a template. This is a checklist, right? It's a checklist for what to post. So the quality is higher, and it will take you less time to get through it, and you're not going to forget anything, right? So this is just a simple framework for posting content. This are questions you can ask. If you're always wondering, what should I be posting to really resonate? I gave you those questions. Go through it on your own time, right? But hopefully maybe reading through some of those will trigger different ideas and make sure that we're really dialed in as to what we're posting and what we're saying. So it's going to resonate more with the kids that you're after. So workflows, right? You have a process, you have a system for how you're posting on social media. I certainly for a while was kind of hesitant, and I was actually resistant to it at first. But then again, once I realized how fast I could get through things, it's just a simple checklist, right? But I could I initially created it so I could delegate it to other people. But it really, it made the training of other people go so much faster. It took work off my plate. But if I did need to do it, I could just zip through it quick, right? So if you're going to use your team month by month, right? So create the theme, write the questions recruits have had about that theme, ask your team how would they answer it, look through their phone, store it in a Dropbox folder. It's as simple as that, right? You could, ask yourself, as far as, again, documenting workflows, who am I posting? Why does it matter? Right? As you're creating a workflow for your captions, this could be what you take yourself through to get through it faster, right? A quick little checklist. Other prompts you could use to write checklists or captions faster, right? How am I serving the recruits? How am I giving recruits behind the scenes today, right? All these are great things to really nail down, you know, again, the message that you're sending to these recruits. Hashtag, right? Different ways to make sure that you're doing the right things with hashtags, but just simple workflows, right? 5 steps, you can get through your hashtag creation much faster. Keyboard shortcuts. I think this one was for an iPhone. I'm Android. iPhones are Chinese to me, but I found that keyboard shortcut, but just quick workflows. What are the things you're doing with social media that require multiple steps? You know, even if I go back to this one, you know, where are you, where, you know, do you have a, what technology are you using, right? So saving it in Dropbox is a thing, but scheduling it to go out, you could put your password in here. You could put the link to get to the, you know, I mean, there's lots of other details. This is just very simplified. We get the idea of it, right? Just simplified workflow. So we're not just showing up and trying to remember what to do. These are prompts, these are checklists that will help you work through these things much faster. Again, quality up, forgetting and making mistakes down, right? Well worth your time to sort out some of those things. And then I want you to create, so as we're talking, you know, I talked about at the beginning, ideally, you've got a year's worth of social media content at the end of the year. Write down, you know, if you're going to go your core 5, if you're going to go, you know, a theme-based thing, just create whatever works for you. Don't just have one big folder, separate it into mini albums. And those mini albums now, say month of January, you were talking about the coaching staff, any picture that you might have posted or a video you might have posted, stick it in that folder. Okay. And then, I mean, so you can, you know, create, you know, a folder based on your you know, each school seems to have their own storage, right, file system. You could use Dropbox if you want it to be an external thing and have access to it wherever you want. But these are things month by month, post, like save it in these folders and separate it either based on the theme, based on the core topic, based on the month, however you want to organize it. But what I find, right, is most coaches tend to want to use their youngest you know, the grad assistants or young assistants, or even maybe somebody on your team to do your social media posted for you. Well, what happens, right? The kid graduates or grad assistants go on and they get full-time assistant jobs somewhere else. And then what happens as the head coach? It's like, oh crap, how did they do it? Or what were they posting? Or, you know, and then we pretty much got to start over from scratch. I don't want you to do that. Month by month, put these pictures in there. So the new person, when they come on board, now can go to that one folder. And I mean, one of the things we'll talk about here in a minute is tracking and track your numbers, right? How well did we do? If you, you know, save everything into one folder at the end of the month, how did we do, right? I mean, if you want to track followers, you want to track engagement, you want to track conversations, whatever it is you want to, you know, frequency, how many did we post? What types of posts did we put out this month? And then what was the engagement, where the likes, all that stuff, right? Each month you can optimize. Each month you can make slight improvements. Maybe, you know, I use the example of maybe we post once a week and each week we're just posting a picture. Maybe next month we post 3 pictures in one video and see how it, you know, affects things. Maybe the week or the month after we post 3 videos, 1 picture, and maybe a reel, right? Or whatever, right? You can add things to it, but each month we're always looking to optimize. And right, if we do that month after month after month, again, by the end of the year, you got a social media system that you can keep building off of. And we're not recreating the wheel with each new assistant that comes on board, right? Organizing hashtags, right? You can go through that, but leveraging technology. Posting on the day is hard because, again, things pull us off track. The more consistent we are with posting the same time, you know, I use this example a lot. We're not going to get 6-pack abs by going to the gym once, right? We're not going to build momentum with our social media recruiting if we're only if we're posting 10 times in 1 week and then skipping the rest of the month. A simple way to automate, you know, hopefully you've seen, we can create in advance a lot of content really quick. Get a social, like one of these, I mean, I want to say these are free, or you can get free versions of them, or it doesn't cost that much to get something like this. But really, if you got multiple hats you're wearing and you're super busy getting pulled in a million different directions, it is worth your time to, remember I said once a month, get your topic, get the pictures, write the captions, get the hashtags. What are the calls to action? What is the momentum we're trying to build this month? And then at the end of that 1 hour meeting, schedule them to go out. It is magic. I'm telling you, it is magic. And it's such a weight off your shoulders, knowing you've got a whole month of social media posted. It is magic. I promise you. Right. So, and then just at the end of the month, we optimize. What were the stats? Where can we make slight adjustments? See how the improvements are, right? Month by month, but scheduling it, right? Let's use technology to our advantage. It really can help take a lot off your plate. And check and measure, right? I mean, this is one example of a tracking form that I've used, but what are the platforms you're using? You know, what is your target? Again, I feel like the goal shouldn't be, you know, a massive number of followers, but we got to create engagement, right? And we got to create conversations, whatever you feel like based on, you know, because all of you guys are going to be different with what you guys are posting and some of the metrics you're trying to hit. But what makes sense for you? I just want to give you that visual, but what are you tracking? What are you measuring? So month by, you know, I would say number of posts, type of posts, time of posting, right? Because that can matter when you're posting it. And then just engagement. I would say those to me are big things, because if you're not getting a ton of engagement posting 4 pictures, you know what, let's put more video, and I bet we'll get more, you know, more engagement with those, you know, just month by month. What are the things, right? And if you want to have a conversation about what are you tracking and what adjustments we can make, absolutely reach out. Would love to have that conversation with you. But ultimately, if you're hearing crickets with your social media, don't give up. Don't give up, because there's a lot of kids who maybe might not respond to you at first, right? But this is where I find those that give up, because this is where the kids are. This is where they're trending. If you try it for a month or two and don't hear a whole lot of feedback or create a lot of conversations with it, don't give up, because this is where you can put yourself ahead of where other coaches are. Because most coaches will try it for a month or two, think it's not working, and just, it's not working for me. It's a big waste of time. I'm just not going to do it anymore. Come talk to us, right? Or any of the Dance Theater people, come talk to us. And there's a lot of times slight little adjustments that you can make, you know, in the picture, the video, or the captions, or different hashtags, or the timing, or whatever, right? Or in the actions, things you're saying in text or phone calls to recruits that can get that engagement up, right? But don't give up, because it just might take a little while to, you know, tweak and adjust as you go. I would say, I know there are some of you that are even on this webinar that use social media a lot to recruit. This is where it is worth your time, 20 minutes, 30 minutes a day, but put a timer on it. Don't allow yourself to go in there and spend the whole rest of the day in and out engaging with your recruits, but take the time and really engage with your followers, especially, right? Those of you that are in the recruits that are engaging with you in captions and DMs, and they're responding to your stories. If you commit to 20 minutes, what people are going to see is, yeah, there's a real person there. And yeah, he or she does want me to take action. And yeah, this coach is committed to engaging back and forth with those that are engaging with them, right? This is a way to build know, like, and trust faster through your social media recruiting. Now, I know I went through all this stuff really fast, but again, I even I'm not kidding, I cut out 60 to 80 slides. This is part of this. It is part of my social story recruiting. I've got the calendars, I've got all the extra deep dive training and all this stuff. But ultimately, hopefully, I gave you enough information that you can take this and run with it, right? Hopefully, I've given you a lot of different ideas for how to create more content, how to create where you should get your caption ideas from, the hashtags and why they're important. But ultimately just how to organize it in a way that is more simple for you, that will help, and that's the thing. Sometimes I do find I try to give a lot of information in this, and sometimes coaches walk away feeling like, holy shit, Mandy, that was a lot of information. And I get it, but I'm here, right? If you ever want to just let's email back and forth, that is my cell phone. If you call me, I probably won't answer because I'm on the phone most of the day, but text me and we'll set up a call and let's walk through it. I will walk through it with you to simplify it, right? And make this part of your job, which is an important part of your job that you need to be doing, more simple and more organized, right? So you can optimize it and have it create a lot of good momentum with your recruiting. That's all I had. I will send you the recording. I will send you the slides. I sent to most of you that had already signed up before this morning. I sent you a social media guide. I will resend that as well if you didn't get that message. Are there any questions that, I mean, if you guys have any questions, you certainly are welcome to put it in the chat or just email me afterwards and I will do my best to get it answered. So any of you guys want to unmute and ask a question right now, or I mean, certainly just send me an email if that's easier at this point, or just anything in the chat you want to put in there. Anything by anybody? But also, if you do email me, I'd love to get feedback on what was helpful and not helpful. And, you know, if this is maybe a presentation to keep doing maybe once a month and keep adding and tweaking as I'm figuring out what resonates with you guys the most, so we can keep getting this information out to you guys. Well, if there is nothing, I will let you guys go. Thank you for showing up. I will get you out these recordings here in the next hour or so. Is there a programs page that has used the strategy that we can look at as an example? I will try to put a few different examples in there. Like, so I know like Liberty, men's and women's tennis. I've talked to him a lot. He's crushing it on social media. I've talked to like Harvard women's soccer, I know is using a lot of this stuff. I know that, you know, even I know there's a few of you who are on this web, like I know, oh, I'm totally blanking on the name of some of these things, but I would look at University of Tampa women's volleyball. Also, I know is doing a really good job with their social media. I mean, there's a lot of programs that are doing a really good job with their social media recruiting and getting a lot of followers and creating a lot of buzz, right? And building their brand around their program. But those are three big ones that I would say to take a look at. All right, I will let you guys go. Have a great rest of the week. I will send this information out to you guys. And if there's any other questions, let me know.